and welcome to this session on senior housing, or housing for those of us that are getting older. Lots of things to think about as we age, and we're very excited to hear from our two specialists today. Before I introduce them, I want to make sure that everybody pulls out their calendar and makes sure that they put down the UCSD Retirement and Emeriti Association holiday party, which will be on December 12th. It is, of course, unfortunately, virtual this year, but we're really going to try and make it fun for everybody. We have hunted all around America, and we have hired a top-notch comedian out of New York who's going to be coming online from Queens to join us and entertain us. It should be really fun. So please be sure to sign up. There is absolutely no charge to attend. Pour yourself a glass of wine or whatever you imbibe and pull up a chair and join us at 12 o'clock noon on December 12th. 12 at 12. You must RSVP to get the link for that event. So make sure you RSVP on our website. So here again, we're gathered together to talk about aging in place, or what to do with your house if you decide you don't want to age in your home. And we're going to hear from two people who have worked with us for quite a number of years. Ron Greenwald has served as a preferred professional partner for the UCSD Retirement Association for some 10 years now. And what we mean by preferred professional partners are the best and the brightest, each in their specific area, that we have selected to deliver excellent information to our members as a community service with a no sales approach. He is joined today by Patti Gerke, who is a senior real estate specialist with an MBA in SRES and certified residential specialist. Ron Greenwald has a BS in accounting, an MBA in finance from USC, and he heads up the realty firm Greenwald and Gerke. Ron, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Suzanne. It's a pleasure to be with all of you today under these circumstances, and we hope to bring you a lot of very pertinent information. And I was going to say, yeah, approaching 10 years of being part of this amazing organization called the UCSD Retirement Association, and I've seen it grow exponentially over those years, so congratulations on all of that. This is a very unique opportunity, and I'll let Patti introduce herself in terms of introductory. This is as much about helping you age in place successfully as it is any opportunity that you may want to look at as if you are looking to right size or downsize, and we'll go through all of that as we go. So I'm going to let Patti introduce herself, and then I will reintroduce myself.
I'm Patti Gerke, and Ron and I have been business partners for about the last 7 years. We deal mostly with estates, trusts, and probates. And how I got into the space is I spent 12 years taking care of my own parents. My dad had multiple strokes and a heart attack and was in a wheelchair, and my mom had vascular dementia. So I've lived through independent living, assisted living, board and care, memory care, VA aid and attendance, surviving spouse VA aid and attendance, and learned a lot along the way, and didn't want to waste all that knowledge by not being able to share it.
So you'll see on the screen, Senior Stay or Go. Patti and I, for what we do for a living in terms of our income, is derived when people buy or sell residential real estate here anywhere here in San Diego County. But through that process, we developed a free program called the Senior Stay or Go program. And we will, and especially during this year, more than any other year, we have really helped and supported people that want to age in place successfully. And our passion and our drive is to not, if somebody wants to age in place, what can they do to make their home safe and sound? And that is really what a lot of this conversation is going to be about. So who we are and why we do what we do is really to help seniors who want that passion to age in their home. And that's what 95% of seniors want. You want to? So on your screen, you'll see the field of life, and the beauty of being part of the UCSD Retirement Association, that almost everybody, if you're a baseball fan, you can see this is a baseball field, and almost everybody on this field used to come to UCSD, but now they're probably doing a virtual presentation. And this is really the crux of the matter here, as our focus is to help you make sure you have the right team in place to make the most informed decision. One of your biggest assets is probably your real estate, and that's why you need the right team around you to make sure that what you're doing with that home makes sense. So the key is on this field of life is, you'll see on the bottom left, is the team owner. You are the team owner. You own the team. You're going to be in charge of the decisions you want to make. And then we go from the general manager of the team is the estate planning attorney, who, again, you have a great estate planning attorney who comes to speak at UCSD. And moving around the field, I know you have a financial advisor that comes and speak, an aging life specialist, and home care. All of these people are intertwined to help you make the right decision as to what you are going to do in regards to aging in place safely, or what, if you want to consider moving, where would you go and what is the best alternative? Patty and I oversee the outfield. You can see Ron and Patty in center field. And if you're going to age in place, you can see over in the left side of the screen all the different professionals that could come in and help you make sure that home is safe as you age. Again, where do the most accidents happen? In the home is falling. How can we try to prevent that as much as possible? On the right side of the screen, senior move manager and placement. Those are people who are really going to be able to help you if you do decide to move, to make that move with the least amount of stress placed on your day-to-day existence. And then there are other peripheral items. Okay, so this is something we always get asked for, and we want to make this available right up front. These are people that you really want to know about. I'll go through them quickly. The National Association of Senior Move Managers. If you do plan on moving, whether it's moving to a senior community, whether you're just moving to a smaller home, whatever you're doing, the idea of packing, sorting, getting rid of treasure, estate sales, and what do you do with all this stuff always creates paralysis by analysis. And these are third-party professionals that can come in and really help you decide what you want to do with your stuff. Aging Life Specialist, aginglifecare.org. Patty and I cannot advocate this enough, is that we all believe whatever, again, the doctor is prescribing medication. What are the interactions of those medications? Who is your advocate when the doctor is telling you something? Again, these people are usually nurses or social workers that can be your healthcare advocate. And in today's world, given the world we live in medicine, it's very important. Professional Fiduciary Association of California. These are third-party administrators of your estate, and they can work with you while you're here and functioning, or a lot of times they work with estate administration upon your passing. Do you really want your children and being in charge of your assets after you pass? Assuming you have if you have more than one child, do they all get along? So Professional Fiduciary Association is somebody who can be that third-party advocate for estate administration. Consumer Advocates for Reform they're really the watchdog on senior communities. And then professional organizers. If you're not planning on moving, but you just want to declutter and have more space in your home, then professional organizers may be the organization for you.
So this year during COVID, we've all become more aware of being at home a lot more, noticing things around our house maybe that we've been putting off or didn't even notice for a long time. So some of the things we're going to talk about today are different than a lot of the things we've talked about in the past, only because people have become more aware of the different types of spaces that they'd like to have or need to have in their home. So We're going to talk first of all about how to stay safe in your home, because I think that's really, really important. The majority of us want to age in place. So if we want to age in place, we need to do it smarter. And to do it smarter, we need to be smart enough to know when we need to call for help. So that means not getting on the 8-foot ladder to change a light bulb or a battery in a smoke detector. That means calling for help to do that so we can avoid accidents. Not stress about things, because stress isn't a good thing. We've got enough stress with COVID right now. Being cautious so that you know that, again, you know, that 8-foot ladder really probably should stay in the garage for someone else to use. And also to be proactive during this time. So there are plenty of things we can do, even if we're sheltered in place, to be able to make our homes safer. Right now, I'm sure everybody has read that Home Depot and Lowe's and Amazon stocks are up because everybody is using a lot of what they provide to make some upgrades to their home. There's also a lot of scams taking place right now. So we beg you to hang up. If you don't recognize the number, don't even answer the phone. But if you think you know the number and you answer the phone, but you don't know who's on the other end, please don't listen to what they have to say. They are very, very convincing in a very short period of time, and you're better off just absolutely hanging up immediately. There are no home test kits or vaccines. I think that's been on the news enough to know that Pfizer and Moderna right now are the two companies that are going to have a vaccine, hopefully by the end of the year. Always fast check the information. If somebody's asking you for money or your credit card information or anything like that, get their information, tell them you'll call them back. See if that number is even legit and if who's on the other end is actually legit. Remember, the IRS is not going to call you, and we're getting into tax season after the first of the year, so be skeptical of that. Don't respond to emails or texts about government checks or that you've won some kind of, the Publishers Clearinghouse. Don't answer those kinds of things. Those are just things that are really gimmicks trying to get your information and get you engaged. And do your homework before donating to charities. There's going to be a ton of requests for donations to charities, especially this year around the holidays. Make sure that your money is going where you think it's going versus to someone who's trying to scam you.
So again, you see Tom Selleck over on the right-hand screen. If you're home and you're watching any television at all, he comes up a lot every day on commercials. So reverse mortgages, again, this is something that you really need to do your homework on and investigate whether this is a tool that you want to implement. Again, you do not lose title to your property when you put a reverse mortgage on your home. A reverse mortgage is a way to access cash and not have to repay the loan while you're living in that home. Again, they do not give you 100% of the value of your home. If your home is worth $1 million, let's say, what they will provide to you in terms of funds will be based on your age and what type of loan reverse mortgage you're trying to get. It is an expensive process. If you have other assets and other alternatives, it may be a preferable way to go. We are not here to recommend them. We are here to tell you what they are. So it is interest accruing on top of interest. If you take out a reverse mortgage of $200,000 and you take that money, you can use it for whatever purposes you want, but that interest is accruing every year, and there's an additional called mortgage insurance premium that gets tacked onto that charge every year. So it can accumulate quickly. So our caution is just understand it. If you have a financial advisor or CPA, family members, have that group discussion as to say, this is my only alternative as to be able to age in this home. If for any reason you have to leave that home, move out of your home, if you have a reverse mortgage on your home and you are in a situation where you must move to a senior community with assisted living, that a reverse mortgage has to be paid off within 6 months. So either your beneficiaries, your heirs will have to pay off that reverse mortgage, or you have to sell the home. You are still responsible for the property taxes on the home, the upkeep of the home, the insurance. That's not part of the reverse mortgage. Also be very careful about, if you're the only one signing on it and you have a spouse, what happens to the spouse in case you have to move out of the home? And if you want to leave the home to the heirs, understand that you're using that equity in the home for your current benefit. And we understand that. So it's a group discussion. You're going to get calls every day, you get telephone, and you see a lot of advertising on it. Just understand what it's all about and if it makes sense for your particular situation.
So we'd like for you to be proactive. And by be proactive, we mean if you have a team in place, you can still meet with them, even if it's only on Zoom, because a lot of offices are still not meeting in person. But you can get your estate plan in place. You can get your life plan in place. No different than you're probably right now doing telemedicine with your doctor versus going into the office. So there are ways to make it work, even right now when we can't necessarily always meet in person. Think about some of the questions and getting all of your plan in order by, number one, checking your assets. How are they titled? Are they secure and are they protected? Is your home in a trust or is it going to go to probate? If it goes to probate, there's not going to be a whole lot left for your heirs to inherit, because between the courts and the taxes and everything else that's involved in probate, there's not going to be a lot left for your heirs. And you've probably worked very hard for what you have. And if your goal is to leave it to a charity or your heirs, you want to make sure they get what your wishes really were. Your financial assets, how will they be distributed? Be very clear. Don't expect someone else to make that decision for you. It makes life so much easier for those left behind when everything that your wishes are is spelled out in writing, so everybody knows what your wishes were, and everybody's going to be much happier fulfilling your wishes versus arguing over what they thought your wishes might be. Personal property, who wants what? There's a lot of things in our homes we don't even use. So are they things that you want someone to have as a special memento? Wouldn't it be nice to give those things to that person while you're still living and watching them enjoy them? Tax law changes. Tax laws change every year. I mean, this year was a crazy year because taxes weren't even due April 15th. That was extended. And so there's a lot of changes that we need to be made aware of, and we can't keep up with all that. That's why we have CPAs to do that. Family dynamics. Has anything changed within your family? Has anyone gotten married? Has anyone had a new baby? Has anyone gotten divorced? Has anyone passed away? There's always changes that need to be considered. So even if you did an estate plan and a trust, if it's more than 5 years old and hasn't been reviewed, you really do want to take the time to review it. Have discussions with your family members. What if and who's the right person for the job? And is it better to have a professional fiduciary versus a family member? Financial planning with your financial advisor, your healthcare directives, are those in place? It's really, really difficult if someone doesn't have their healthcare directives in place and something, God forbid, happens and the family's trying to guess what your wishes would be. That's never a good place to be. Personal property distribution, we talked about. Contingency planning. What happens when the car keys have to be taken away? Do you have other avenues of transportation? Thank goodness for, Uber and Lyft. But if you're not comfortable with that, do you have another form of transportation? And then if you have pets, is there somebody there who's going to take care of your pets? And with Zoom like today, you can have your whole family on the screen, which a lot of people may do for the upcoming holidays, is have holiday Zooms because we can't meet in person this year. So again, just because we're home and just because we can't meet in person doesn't mean we can't get things done. Things to think about while you're at home, because the crews have actually gotten very, very busy for exterior house repairs and roof and painting and gutters and landscaping and all the things that can be done on the outside of the home so that no one's coming into your home. I don't know if you've driven around even just your neighborhood lately, but I can go maybe 5 blocks from my house and see 5 new roofs being put on. and our homes are about 30 years old, 35 years old. So again, people are preparing to do those things that maybe they didn't have the time to do in the past, do them now. And, you know, I just heard from a neighbor who wanted to put a pool in their yard, and they were told it would be 6 to 9 months before they could even have a pool put in their yard. So people are definitely knowing that they're going to stay around their home more and longer, and doing those things that are going to make it more pleasant to be there and enjoyable. You might as well enjoy it. Now, if you are going to stay home and you want to stay safely, there's a few things that you can do that are really, really simple. Number one thing is have your house number as big and as visible as possible, and have it painted on the curb. Because the one thing you want to be able to do is, if you have to call emergency services, you want them to be able to find you. And without your house number visible, that's going to be a little more difficult, and it may take them longer to get to you. And that's what you don't want to have happen. You want clear pathways. I happen to have a bush on the walkway from my backyard to my driveway where I trail my garbage cans for weekly pickup. And one week I had flip-flops on, and a leaf of that bush got caught between my toe and my flip-flop, and I went flying. And so that was one thing that I could have easily avoided, a fall that I could have easily avoided, a scrape, a bruise that I could have easily avoided, just by keeping that pathway clear. Here in San Diego, having a covered entry, well, they say we're not going to have a whole lot of rain this year, so I don't know how important that is, but having lever handles versus a round knob, something that's easier for you to open and close, especially, you know, if you have any arthritis in your hands, that's real helpful. And then if you do have solar energy on your house, again, that's a benefit. In the bathroom, number one place falls occur, the bathroom. If you're going to redo your bathroom, there's a few things you want to do. Have a floating cabinet put in, so that if one point in time you have a walker or you're in a wheelchair recovering from any kind of surgery, you can still pull yourself up to that sink. That's really important. Taller toilets. They're only 3.5 inches taller, but it's amazing. It's amazing once you have used a taller toilet versus a smaller toilet, a shorter toilet. Abundant lighting. Lighting is very important as we get older. Again, we talked about handles on your front door, handles for your faucets as well. Levers are much easier to work than round knobs. Low maintenance finishes, a lot of stone, a lot of granite, a lot of that has come into being in the last probably 20 years. It is beautiful, but you have to remember that those surfaces need to be resealed. And some of them need to be resealed pretty often, like every 6 months. So is a single surface shower enclosure easier to maintain for you? That might be something you need to consider. And ventilation, so that you don't have a lot of moisture buildup where you can slip and fall on the tile floor in your bathroom. Other things that you want to be able to do is have the walls reinforced to be able to handle balance bars or grab bars, as you may know them. You do not want to use the suction ones that you can get at the pharmacy. The suction never works the day you need it to. And you want those installed properly. And in order to be installed properly, they need to catch a stud. They don't just get adhered to the drywall. So you want your walls reinforced before you retile them or reseal them in some way. Again, the handle faucets, depending on what kind of finishes you want, if you want low maintenance finishes, or if you're open to have someone come in and, you know, reseal your surfaces because you like the stone look a lot better, by all means. And if you're redoing your shower, do a no step shower with a bench, so that if at some point in time, again, if you're with a walker, you can walk right into the shower, not have to get up a step to get into the shower. There is tons of technology out there. And as we age as seniors, as baby boomers who are going to live longer and want to stay in our homes longer, technology is going to be extremely important. There are smart thermostats, there's HEPA filters, there's motion switches, so that when you walk in the room, the light goes on. You don't have to, say you have a walker, you don't have to let go of your walker to turn the light on. You can have timers on your lamps. There's smart locks where you don't even have to use a key, so you don't have to go digging through your purse or your backpack or your fanny pack. Internet videos, there's Alexa, if anybody has Alexa in their home that can, turn on the music when you want to, turn on the lights when you want to. Smartphones have a lot of technology built into them to allow you to do things from your phone. There are apps out there and blinds that allow you to open and close them from your phone. So if your home was built in the 70s or 80s, chances are there's a window over your tub shower enclosure that's not always easy to get to. And so if you had, electronic blinds that you could manipulate from your phone, how much simpler would that be? And then there's Apple Watches. There's Apple Watches, the newer version. If you fall and you don't respond within a certain time frame, it will call 911. So that's very important as well. If you don't want to, wear a lapel with a little lifeline button, you can use your smartwatch to do that instead. There's also a company out of New Mexico called Electronic Caregiver that has a whole system in place for keeping up with you on making sure you're taking your medications, checking your blood pressure, checking your oxygen level, all of those things so that you can stay safely in your home. And then the Ring doorbell, which is great so that you're not opening the door unless you know the person at the door, because there's still door-to-door salespeople. And they are also very convincing and can talk you into things very quickly. You want to make your home work harder for you instead of you working harder for your home. So we talked about the motorized blinds and shades, insulating your windows and doors. If you don't have dual pane windows, is that an investment that would be very helpful? It keeps the warm air in the winter and the cool air in the summer, so that you're not using the furnace and the air conditioning as much. Door assist mechanisms so that you don't have to let go of your groceries or your walker. Solar power if you choose to. Xeriscape landscaping so that you have less work to do out there. Smoke detectors. Smoke detectors are now by law due to be in every single bedroom, hallways, and carbon monoxide detectors by law are due to be on every floor in your home. Now you may say, I don't have any gas in my home is all electric. And that's great. But if your garage is attached to your home, you still need that carbon monoxide detector on the first floor and the second floor. Because unfortunately, especially with a lot of the hybrid cars and the electric cars, a lot of times you don't even know they're on. And so you want to make sure that you're protected. Have a fire extinguisher in your kitchen just in case. And again, if you'd like to have some solar power lighting and some gray water irrigation, if you have a cistern that can grab the rainwater for you, that's all helpful ways to make your house work for you instead of you working for your home. If by chance a stair lift isn't going to work for you and you need an elevator, here is an elevator that can be retrofit into any home. So it can be put up against the wall. And when you're upstairs, you have the platform on the floor. When you're downstairs, you have the platform on the ceiling, depending where you are. And we actually were just in a home recently that had one of these installed. It does not take a lot of room and it's extremely helpful.
Things to consider if you need or want to move. We call it right sizing versus downsizing. So again, given the COVID era, if you are thinking about that you do want to downsize or move to, let's say, your home to a condominium, it is a process. It is a journey in terms of being able to getting into properties, view properties, and seeing what really works for you. So if you have if that's something you want to do and you want to explore your opportunity, if you have your favorite realtor, understand that it takes a lot of time and effort to go view properties, but it's still doable. We are considered essential. Real estate agents are considered essential workers working at this time. So you can go and view properties that are listed for sale. It just takes a lot of more coordination on everybody's part in terms of reservation time, obviously, in all the COVID protections of hand sanitizers and booties and gloves and things like that. So you can do it. It is available. And that way you have an understanding of what is out there and what the market is like. When it comes to senior communities, for a couple months there, it was impossible to go visit a senior community. Most of them are still allowing tours online. People are moving into senior communities. Understand that all the activity, they still have a lot of their activities, but those activities are all in a social distance concept. If you're moving into a senior community today or looking to do that over the next few months, it's going to be a little more difficult to make friends and get socially acclimated to that. So just understand that, again, if in a perfect world, it's a wonderful, it's like a cruise ship and dry dock is what a senior community used to be like. Now it's going to be a little bit more distance with your meals and your activities, but they are obviously looking for people who are interested in that and forming lists. But really do your due diligence on that. We have a client who's moving to Texas, and we referred that person to a senior specialist who's what they call placement. And if you remember the field of life, on the right field side of that field of life, there's a person called placement. And their expertise is knowing every senior community in the area they serve. So they can take you, whether they get you in the car anymore is difficult, but they can talk about all the different senior communities here in San Diego, all the different level of services they offer and their cost. And it's really good to understand all the options as to what you're getting into, whether it's a senior community where you pay monthly rent, or it's a type of senior community where you are going to pay a fee to make an entrance into that community. So that one just opened called Scripps Glen, and another one just opened in Rancho Bernardo called Silvergate. Beautiful, 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 beautiful communities, but just understand the cost and get moving into those, what it's gonna take these days. Home share, there's an organization called Elder Help. It's a nonprofit organization based here in San Diego. If you think that is something that you want to entertain, whether you want somebody to come and live into your home to offset cost, or you're thinking, I would like to go and move in with somebody, another senior, don't just go off of, never, ever, ever, ever take anybody off of Craigslist or somebody who makes the solicitation on that. This organization, elderhelp.org, they're again based here in San Diego. They will do all the vetting for you and get to know you and see if that makes some sense for you. Financial awareness, very important topic. Now we're going on to the real money side of the equation. Capital gains, understand the law of capital gains, that if you have owned your home here in San Diego, Patty and I have dealt with people that have owned their home 50, even 60 years. And obviously the value of that home has gone up tremendously. So real quickly, the tax laws are on capital gains on the sale of your personal primary residence for a single individual. The amount of gain you can exclude from capital gains tax is $250,000. For a couple, the amount you can exclude from gain is $500,000. So again, on a Zoom, to try to make it easy, if you bought your home for $100,000 and you're selling it for $1 million, that is theoretically $900,000 worth of gain. So think, again, if you're a couple, you can exclude $500,000 of that gain from the $900,000. Also, all the material improvements you've made to that home over the course of ownership can be added to what we call the basis or the purchase price of that home to reduce the amount of gain. Now, we understand you probably haven't kept every record over the course of 30, 40, 50 years of owning that home. So this is where the field of life comes into play, and having a good accountant, CPA, to walk you through those ramifications. Again, capital gains, the importance of having your home. Well, we'll talk about step up in basis, so we'll come back to that. As you can see, the big red X, we just passed here in the state of California, Prop 19. That is really, again, it's premature for us to go into details of it, other than to say that should replace what we used to call Prop 6090, which would allow you as a 55 or older plus adult to carry over, to take your current property tax basis with you if you were going to buy a home of equal or lesser value. So if you had a home that you were going to sell for $1 million and you were going to buy a home in San Diego County of $1 million or less, you could take over that very low property tax basis with you. Well, with Prop 19, this now opens it up for the whole state of California. Before, it was limited by county. Now that county restriction has gone away.
And now you can also purchase a home of greater value.
In greater value. Now, there are, like anything else, the government giveth and the government taketh. Not all the estate planning attorneys are in love with Prop 19, because in the old days, you could have your children inherit this property and they did not have to live in the property to maintain that very low tax basis. Well, now, and again, this is brand new. You must, if this is something you want to know more about, we would advise you to talk to your estate planning attorney. If you move, if your children inherit the property and don't live in the property and they want to make it a rental property, they're not going to be allowed to keep that very low property tax basis upon your passing and upon their inheritance. So rental properties will not get this benefit. Also, there's a cap on it and there's a formula, and we're not going to go into that at this point in time. So where it's impactful is for you as an individual, if you want to move and move from the home you are now and move to another home where you can carry over the tax basis. If your children if your child is planning to live in the home upon your passing, then it has a benefit. And that's what we'll say about, unless, Patty, anything else you want to add on Prop 19?
No, at this point, I think that's more than enough.
Step up in basis, very, very critical point. If you are a husband and wife and your home is properly titled in your trust, again, if you think about the gain on the sale of that home, if unfortunately your spouse passes away, you are still entitled to what they call a step up in basis, so that if you were to decide a year after your spouse passes away, you want to sell that home, the gain is only based on the date of death of your spouse, between the date of death and the time you sell, not the date of purchase. That's called a step up in basis on the sale of your real estate. Again, it's a legal term, but it's very important to understand, and it's so important about titling of the property correctly so that we can make sure we minimize your taxation as much as possible moving forward.
I guess I will say one more thing about Prop 19, in that it also is benefiting those who have lost their homes through fire, because we've had so many home losses over the last few years due to fire. It's allowing those people who lost their homes from fire to be able to rebuild and keep their old tax basis. So a lot of the estate planning attorneys were not for Prop 19 because it's hurting the families who are trying to leave properties to the beneficiaries, but it does help those that have been through fire and the seniors that are trying to move to be closer to family, but almost can't afford to, the increase in taxes if they did.
So this we have like 6 slides on the current state of our real estate here in San Diego County, and I'm not going to go through them one by one. If you want these slides, you'll see on the top right, there is my email address. Please feel free to email me and we will email you these slides. In summary, if you would have said that the second half of 2020 would have been boom time for real estate, back in March and April, I would have said, you know, what are you smoking? Give me some of that. But lo and behold, interest rates 3% or, you know, mortgage rates are at 3% or less, extremely low inventory, and everybody is gravitating for a redo in the kind of space they have for their home. If you have a family and you have 2 kids, you and your spouse are working from home, so you want office space. Your children are going to school from home, so they need space. So the world kind of went topsy-turvy in the sense of everybody is looking for more space and how to accommodate that. So inventory, low interest rates, need for more space, and just the cost of building any new inventory in San Diego is so prohibitive that you can see the pricing of home has gone up. The inventory is still down. And again, we're happy to send these to you. But right now, as of this moment, it's the only area that has been negatively impacted, I would say, over all the Cole County has been downtown. It's, again, people are not wanting to be in those more of confined areas. So with the thousands of new apartment buildings that got built downtown recently, plus just the confinement of condo living versus I want to get out into space, downtown has probably been a weak point in real estate. I mean, if you have a second home, if you're fortunate enough to own a second home, congratulations. Those prices have gone through the roof. Lake Tahoe, Palm Springs, ski resorts, anywhere where people can be out in space, those prices have shot through the roof. If you own a second home, congratulations on that. This slide, again, there was this Monday, if you have access to the Wall Street Journal online, there was like a 10-page insert on pandemic changes, aging, and retirement. There was a great article on that. And again, if you email me, ronald@greenwaldgerke.com, ronald@greenwaldgerke.com, we will send you the article. It pretty much spoke to what we're speaking to, is that people aren't really wanting to move right now. I mean, the idea of moving to a senior community has put a lot of people going, this is not what I want to do at this point. But we got to make smart decisions thinking long term. So this article addresses that. We'll be happy to send you that article. Is this me? No. Final recap, and we're happy to take questions. And again, there's a lot going on here. Aging safely in place. Again, there are contractors that get specially licensed to help you and remodel your home so that you can stay safely in your home. We continually get asked by people who go, well, I don't want to, well, if I do these retrofits to make my home age in place friendly, will I hurt the value of the house? And Patty and I are saying no. Again, think about, there are 70 million of us baby boomers. I'm here in my home office. I just got my Medicare card. I'm very proud. So again, if you do it in good taste, you do it appropriately, and you have a licensed contractor walk you through it, it's really helping values today. And again, 10, 20 years ago, we wouldn't say that, but the trend is very different. And they are beautiful fixtures now. There's beautiful finishes to help you. You know, again, Patty used the word balance bar versus grab bar. We don't like the grab bar sounds ugly. There are beautiful inventory of finishes that you can put in your home that will help you age in place friendly, both on the exterior side of your home, plus the interior side of your home. So beware of scams. Again, we actually have a very close friend whose father was taken for close to $100,000 by the foreign lottery scam. And this gentleman had his full capacity. He was not in any way, didn't have dementia, didn't have Alzheimer's, but he was taken in by the scam, or the grandfather, or the call that from your grandchild that I'm in Mexico and I was in jail and I need money wired to me. Don't think that this can't happen to you, and don't think this can't happen to one of your loved ones. And if it does, these people are so good that they end up citing, the people who got scammed end up siding with that person who scammed them, because they're just, and it doesn't get reported enough. So just, if you have a loved one you're concerned about, just understand that it does happen, and it is happening, especially now with COVID and all the different calls and people trying to get money for charity. I want to just reiterate the charity side of it. Really go online, check out the charity. There are websites where you can go and see what kind of reputation the charity has, where the money is going, how much of that money is going to the actual charity versus administration. Also on this, I'm going to circle back because I forgot to mention, and I think it's very important. I want to circle back on the reverse mortgage side of things. If you have charitable intent on your home, let's say you're 80 years old and you want to get more cash flow, and because you want to age in place and you need a more cash flow, and you're thinking about a reverse mortgage, you can talk to the charitable gift giving department at UCSD and maybe 2 or 3 other large charities and the San Diego Foundation here in San Diego, because they will provide you an annuity of income while you're alive in exchange for the gift of that home upon your passing. So again, instead of doing a reverse mortgage, instead of looking at other avenues, think about an annuity gift of your home upon your passing, where you will be able to get some income while you're alive. Again, what do you want to have happen, for your beneficiaries and your heirs, and the long-term strategy of your financial plan? But you're able to stay in that home, even if you had to leave to live in a assisted living community. If you did a charitable life annuity with somebody like UCSD, you wouldn't have to sell the home upon leaving a senior community. And then prepare your estate. Again, we can't stress enough that the housing that we talk about is just one vehicle of the big picture of your estate. If you did your estate plan even over 5 years ago, and given the COVID period, if your son or daughter are not living in San Diego, how easy is it going to be for them to come here? If you have a fall and you're incapacitated and you're in the hospital, who is going to be there quickly to help you, guide you through medical decisions? Think about that. Think about all the decisions that have to be made on your behalf, whether it's both financial and healthcare directives. So with that being said, TV is short for. I'm not sure what that means.
Any questions?
Any questions or?
Okay, so let's open it up for questions now. It's a fairly small group, so I think we can handle you just going ahead and voicing your question yourself.
Says, when remodeling bathrooms, is it okay these days to remove all bathtubs, or we should keep one for the future resale value? Well, I can answer that personally. I just moved and we took out the bathtub. So I don't think it is. I think it's fine. Bathtubs are, again, and just also understand, if you put one of, I don't see them advertised as much before, those where they, you walk in and then you fill it up. Just remember that water's you can't just open the door and walk out. You got to make sure that thing drains before you walk out. So, and it can get cold before all that water drains out. So there are some super installations where the water drains very quickly, but no, we're pretty satisfied that it's not going to hurt the value of the home. What are the names of the, Patty, are you able to see this too? I just want to make sure.
No, I'm not.
Oh, if you go on to chat.
I'll have to stop sharing the screen to get there. Okay.
So who can help with disabled parents who are very low income, but their income is just little higher so that they do not qualify for Medicaid. I would call there's attorneys that specialize in moving funds around. I would call a elder care attorney. That's something that we can, if you email us, we can provide you. Elder care law is very specialized and very unique. So if you want to email us, we can provide you with people that specialize in elder care, Medicare law to help you. It's really about, I don't want to use the manipulating is a bad word, but it's kind of a manipulation of who holds the assets and how they're held so that you can qualify for Medicaid type of thing. What are the names of the 2 senior communities you mentioned? Patty, you want to?
Scripps Glen and Silvergate. The other one was Silvergate. That's in Rancho Bernardo.
And just to update that, many of them did a lot of remodeling before COVID, and they really are quite beautiful. There is Belmont, if anybody knows Belmont Village, my understanding is that they are going to break ground this year on a high-rise community in the UTC area, right off of Nobel. Again, if you want any information, all of this, you can email us and say, this is what this is the area that I'm thinking about, and we can refer you to the people that are experts in that area of senior communities.
That looks like it.
That
Last call for questions. Anybody else have a question for our experts? Ron, I will ask you to please send that article that you mentioned to me, and then I'll just send it out to everybody who participated.
okay. All right, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Thank you so much. This was really jam-packed with great information. We very much appreciate your service. Thank you.
Thank you. Be well, be safe. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you.
Enjoy the Zoom Thanksgiving. And again,
All right.
if you have any questions, you can give them to Suzanne, and she can certainly forward them to us, however you like to get information.
Yeah, lots of thank yous flowing through. Thanks again. Take care.
Be well.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.